Hi guys, I'm Nikhil Chawla from the Unbiased blog, and today we're going to talk about smartphones. Yes, after a long time, after driving a lot of cars and giving you a lot of episodes of Talk Tech, we're back to reviewing smartphones. And it's not just a review video, this is a comparison video between two smartphones, two juggernauts of the smartphone industry. And it's not about flagship smartphones, it's not about the flagship killers, it is about the mid-range performance smartphones. Yes, that's where the masses are, that's where the money is, that's what people want. These are the phones that offer you most value for money, most performance out of your buck. So what smartphones are we talking about today? We're talking about the OnePlus Nord CE 5G and the iQOO Z3 5G. So these are both 5G smartphones. They look similar, they have similar set of features. So let's go ahead and check out which phone does what best. They look similar, they have similar set of features. First up, let's talk about the design of these smartphones. Now these smartphones may look very similar to you, and our shots are a true example of why I'm saying it looks very similar. Both phones comes with polycarbonate back, they're reflective back, they're fingerprint magnets, they look very similar, they are good to hold, they have good build quality. Thanks to side-mounted fingerprint, the thumb lies where the space is and it feels really good to grip at. Meanwhile, the Nord CE 5G feels a little flimsy, a little sensitive, and I always fear about dropping it and crashing it. So in terms of port, both get a 3.5mm jack, USB Type-C port, downfiring speakers and noise cancellation mics. But the sad part is OnePlus had let go of the alert slider, the feature that everybody liked, that everybody wanted, and it was like a OnePlus USP that is gone. Imagine an iPhone without a silent switch. It's as bad as that. So alert slider is gone. The USP of OnePlus is gone, which is really sad. Another plus point that the Z3 has is that it has a hybrid SIM slot. That means you can put one SIM and one memory card to expand the memory. Whereas the Nord CE lacks that also. So you can only put two SIMs at one time, but you cannot expand the memory. And also a lot of users reported that they're getting a creaky sound in the body of the Nord CE 5G. Thankfully, our unit doesn't have it. But it's something that a lot of users have reported. So when you're getting your smartphone, the Nord CE 5G, make sure that it doesn't have that creaky back. So in a way, it has quality control issues. And it's not just about the device. I was surprised when we unboxed the phone, there were printing errors. The quality control of the OnePlus level is missing on this device. I understand it's a budget device, but that doesn't mean you start cutting corners in terms of quality testing or production control issues. So OnePlus, that's a feedback for you guys. Now before we move on to the display, one another thing I wanted to point out is the sound quality. Now obviously both are mono speakers, both are downfiring speakers, but then again quality matters a lot. Now what is happening is when you increase the volume on the OnePlus to the full levels or even just below the full level, it starts vibrating. It's a real vibrating machine. I think it's because of build quality or whatever it is. It sounds very muffled, it's not clear, and you can go ahead and test it yourself at a OnePlus store and you will figure out as soon as the volume goes up, it starts getting distorted, which is not a good thing in a device of this price. Now let's talk about the display of these smartphones. Now displays are something that you've been looking at all day long. This is why you buy a smartphone. The OnePlus Nord CE 5G comes with an AMOLED display, but it's limited to 90 Hz. Whereas the Z3 gets an LCD display, but the refresh rate is 120 Hz. So it's up to you now. You want AMOLED display or LCD display? Because I'll be very clear and honest with you. iPhones, the Apple iPhones, all through its generation till generation 10 and even the recent ones get LCD display. It's about how you tune the LCD display, how you manufacture, what's the quality of display being used. The phone might have an AMOLED display, but if the quality is low, it doesn't really match even the LCD display. So I'm not saying that AMOLEDs are bad or LCDs are bad. It's up to you, user preferences. If deeper blacks are your choice, then AMOLED is definitely the way to go. But deeper blacks only matter if you're watching like a series on Netflix that is really dark and gothic series, and then the LCD display would feel, not up to the mark of an AMOLED display. Other than that, a normal human eye, it is really tough to make out whether it's an LCD display or an AMOLED display. So that's up to you, your choice. If you want really deep, rich blacks, AMOLED is way to go. Now OnePlus is known for its performance, the flagship killer devices, the performance-oriented devices, but guess what? The Z3 5G beats it in that game. So in terms of the processor, the iQOO Z3 gets Snapdragon 768G, whereas the OnePlus Nord CE gets Snapdragon 750G. And it's not just about the performance. If you compare the base variants of both these devices, the Nord CE 5G gets 6+64, whereas the base variant of the iQOO Z3 5G gets 6+128GB. Even the base variant gets a better option, better deal in the iQOO Z3 5G. So in terms of variants, you get 6+128, 8+128 and 8+256 on the iQOO Z3 compared to 6+64, 8+128 12 plus 256 on the Nord CE. Now both these smartphones offer similar battery. The battery capacity is very similar. The Nord CE 5G gets 4500 mAh of battery, whereas the iQOO Z3 5G gets a 4400 mAh of battery. Now there's only 100 mAh of difference, but what changes all is the charging speed of these devices. The Nord CE 5G comes with a 30-watt charger, something that OnePlus user would not like, whereas the Z3 5G comes with a massive, super fast Vivo Flash Charge 55-watt charger. Now that we're talking about the display and other specs of these devices, I would like to mention that the Nord CE 5G comes with the in-display fingerprint scanner, whereas the iQOO Z3 comes with a side-mounted fingerprint scanner. Now it's up to you what you prefer better. Some users really want to flaunt off and show an in-display fingerprint scanner, but let me tell you, the accuracy and the speed is always limited on an in-display fingerprint scanner. Now I'm not saying that it's bad or it's not good or it's not accurate. It's just that always physical is better in terms of fingerprint recognition, the speed, and that's where the OnePlus Nord CE 5G again lose it to iQOO Z3. Now let's talk about the cameras of these devices. Now what if I tell you they have exactly the same cameras? Now in the front you get a 16 megapixel cameras, on the rear you get a 64 megapixel plus 8 megapixel plus 2 megapixel on both the devices. What is the difference is that you get a GW3 Samsung sensor on the iQOO Z3, whereas the OnePlus Nord CE settles for an OmniVision sensor. Now both these devices are about performance. These are mid-range performance devices and people buy it for gaming and a lot of task-intensive jobs. So if you're buying any of these smartphones for gaming purposes, let me tell you, the Z3 5G comes with liquid cooling technology, whereas there is no liquid cooling or any kind of cooling technology on the OnePlus Nord CE 5G. Again, we have a winner here, which is the iQOO Z3 5G. Now let's talk about the operating system of these devices. Now OnePlus has always been loved for its OS, the Oxygen OS. But lately, it is full of bugs, there are a lot of crashes, there are a lot of errors, and even update cycles have been delayed. So the USP of the OnePlus Oxygen OS has declined over the years. The timely updates have gone, the bugs have gone on increasing. With every iteration, there are new bugs, new fixes, but then again, there are a lot of bugs, which is not really a good user experience. For a buyer who's buying the phone to experience best of performance, will be muffled with all the bugs in the software, which is not a good scenario, right? On the other hand, the FunTouch OS over the years has evolved so much that it gives you great interface and almost stock Android-like experience with a few add-ons that makes the device exciting and gives you more usability features. But who are we to judge the performance? We can do a lot of gaming, we can do a lot of task-intensive things, but it's the CPU throttle benchmark test that really tests the limits of the CPU. So in the CPU throttling test, the iQOO Z3 5G, passed with flying colors. It passed on the 15 minutes without any issues, while the OnePlus Nord CE 5G throttled and started behaving or misbehaving after 7 minutes. I think it's because of the optimization of the software that is lacking. So we talked about the design, we talked about the display, we talked about the cameras, the specification, performance, everything in detail, but it finally boils down to the price. Which one is more value for money, which offers you more bang for buck? And to decide that, let me tell you the pricing. You'll be surprised to know the pricing because you've already figured out that the iQOO Z3 5G offers more, like a lot of better features in terms of lower variant, having better specs, better processor, better charger, a lot of other things that are better on this device. But even with that, the pricing for the base variant, the 6GB plus 128GB, is only 19,990, and with bank offers it can go down to up to 17,000. On the other hand, the base variant of the OnePlus Nord CE 5G, the 664, is for 22,990 rupees. But that is not available at most times. So you might have to settle for the other variant, the next variant, which is the 8 plus 128 GB variant, and that is priced at 24,990. Now let's compare the top variants also. The iQOO Z3 5G comes with 8 plus 256 for only 22,990, and I'm sure if you apply bank offers and everything, it will come under 20,000 rupees. Whereas the OnePlus Nord CE 5G, the top variant, the 12 plus 256 GB variant is for 27,990 rupees, almost 28,000 rupees. Now there might be bank offers on the OnePlus Nord CE 5G also, but then again, the value for money, the value proposition just beats it black and blue. I mean, it's really not even worth comparing considering the price difference, almost 6 to 7,000 rupees on the top variants, or even the mid variants, it's like 5,000 rupees off. So what I'll suggest to you guys is drop the OnePlus Nord CE 5G from your list and get the iQOO Z3 5G. So that's it for today. If you liked our comparison video of the iQOO Z3 5G and the Nord CE 5G, please hit the like button, share the video with others, subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching the Unbiased Vlog. See you in the next one.